How are you supposed to compete with all these cash offers? Who's making all these cash offers anyway? With all the cash offers in this crazy market, are you wondering if you'll ever be able to have an opportunity to put in an offer on a home? You're not the only one wondering that. I'm excited to come to you today with an interview of Paul Kottich of People's Mortgage and their newest product, the Quick Buy program. If you're just in early stages of starting to look for a new home and wondering what's going to be the best way to go about it with such a competitive market, then this is going to be an awesome informational session for you. And if you are in that stage of starting to consider a big move, then you're going to want to check down in the description for my free printable moving checklist. In addition to all the other things you're balancing, you're going to want to make sure that you're not forgetting about utilities and changing cable, canceling lawn service. And the checklist, I created it so that it's actually got clickable links that can take you to the different sites that you need to go to be able to change those services or cancel them if you're moving out of the area entirely. So thanks for tuning in, and here's that interview with Paul.
Here with Paul Kottich, and he is from People's Mortgage, and we're just going to talk about their new Quick Buy program, which I am really excited to share about, because who is not wondering at the moment, how are we going to get past this bidding war when all these other cash buyers are out there? How do you get ahead? So maybe if you want to start out, Paul, by sharing with us just kind of a summary of the program.
Well, we created the cash buy is because, buyers are getting tired of losing out to cash buyers. You get pre-qualified just like you would any other loan with 20% down, and you find the home to purchase. You're going to write, Kristi, you're going to write the contract, and we're buying it and paying for cash, and then we're turning around and doing the financing with you later. It can be as little as 10 days, especially if, because the title work will all be done. If there's an appraisal, hopefully maybe we get into the new appraisal waiver, but a lot of if there's an appraiser, that still gives us plenty of time to get it done. The reason it really takes 10 days is because the law says that once you apply, you get 7 days after contract to before they can close it. But it's a program to help offset cash buyers. Some of the details, got to have a 680 credit score. And that's fine. I think it's probably going to work better for those that are in 740 or better, only because the interest rate will not be a fun thing, but it can be done. Must have 20% down. It's going to ask for reserves, so like 6 months PIT, I would call it, but 6 months worth of payments. So if your payment's $2,000 a month, you better have $12,000 in the bank, and plus if like some of these newer have HOA dues, 6 months worth of that in there. You can qualify without selling your existing home. There isn't a deal. They want to make sure we're going to make sure you have the ability and the cash reserves to pay 10% over that offer, because everything has this escalation up.
Sure.
Where you're going to pay up over that a certain amount, and it's not good for any down payment assistance loans or anything like that. It doesn't do renovations. It's for primary residence only. You can do warrantable condos. Basically means they're approved condos by Fannie and Franny. There's no renovation loans to it or anything like that. The big thing is we're going to qualify you just like you were buying the house. It's just that you're going to find one. You're going to pick it with your realtor, and the contract is going to be written. There's going to be 2 contracts. One, People's Mortgage is buying it, and then there'll be a second contract that you're buying it from us as a FISBO. So.
All right, so conventional loan, so that 20% down payment, and in addition to that, having 6 months of reserves for PITI and any HOA fees that might apply to the property.
Also, I might add that 20% for some people, maybe even more cash. That can be a gift from relative.
Sure.
And stuff like that, which is kind of like the same as if you were going to go buy the house and you want to put 20% down, you didn't quite have it all, or you're going to get it out of your existing home, but we're not using that. Because we want to make your offer stronger, so it's without a contingency sell the house, but where's the 20% going to come from? Mom, Dad giving you 20% as a gift, that's allowable.
So for any viewers that we have outside the Omaha area, what areas does this apply to, and kind of where can people work with this program?
We actually have offices here, Lincoln, Norfolk, Grand Island, and Hastings. So moving towards North Platte, and that's kind of where Nebraska Realty is all at too. So anything east of Kearney is a doable through that. I might Pat, you and the buyer will pick the title company, and we got some details we're working out with title companies, especially if it's Nebraska exorbitant title. But just to kind of cut down on some of the costs, because there are 2 separate transactions to this. So, but the second one should have some discounted pricing to it. We're all over all Nebraska, and if a family member that lives out west and wants to try to do this, we can get that done. It's in the state of Nebraska only. We're not in Iowa yet.
Okay.
We have 30-some states we're in, and I have a whole list of them, but nothing bordering here right now. If it goes pretty well, I might be extended to Iowa, but right now it's strictly Nebraska, and I service the entire state. So if you've got a property, you want to go out to Scotts Bluff? I'm in. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Maybe we'll stop at Lake McConaughey on the way or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So as far as the two transactions, kind of walk us through, what does the timeline look like from, even as far back as when they're coming to get, is it pre-approved or pre-qualified?
Pre-approved. We're going to run you
Okay.
right through underwriting and everything like that. That's why when you would be starting to look for a loan, we're going to ask you for pay stubs, bank statements, 401ks, all that stuff. And it behoove you, if you want to do this program, you got to get it all to us. We basically have all our loose ends tied up. If it's a gift, we're going to have the gift letters and everything we need there, all in. And then we're going to put it into one step farther than just having it in our computerized underwriting that says, okay, it's actually going to go in front of a live underwriter. Gives us about 48 hours. We give them 48 hours or maybe 72 just to say, come back and says, yep, that's good. Or they'll come out, well, we want this, this, and this, because that always happens. The lead-in time shouldn't be any longer than the other. We're just going to go one step farther and make sure we've got it in a underwriter's hand to review and then give it to you. So, because certainly if we buy this house, we want you to buy it because we don't want to hold on to it. So,
Sure.
So somebody asked the other day in the meeting and says, what if there's a disgruntled buyer? And I says, well, that means that they didn't want to buy it. It means people's mortgage capital is responsible for it. The other question was about, well, what about, you get an appraisal and all of a sudden some repairs come by that. People's mortgage is going to be responsible for it because we're owning it at the time. It's pretty intense, you get to still find the property and agent writes the purchase contract with People's Mortgage as the buyer, as a cash offer with no financing or appraisal contingency. We're going to still do the appraisal unless we can get a waiver, which is a new thing. That's another podcast.
Yeah, for another day.
And all parties will acknowledge that the appraisal is being done to facilitate the borrower's final financing to make sure it's worth that. So I mean, if you're buying it for $300,000 and the appraisal comes in and says it's $310,000, great. If it comes in at $280,000 or something like that, now we're going back just like you would anything else. The whole program is really kind of to get you into that competition as a cash buyer. Appraisal issues and things like that are all part of whether you were doing this or not.
And so I think you mentioned roughly 10 days in between.
Well, if we were buying it, we close on it as a cash offer, which we'll get through the title company, make sure all that's done through there. So that might be a week, and we've already got you appraised. Then we're probably about 10 days after that. My rule of thumb says, why don't you be just safe and say it's 2 weeks?
Sure.
It could be as little as 10 days. Realistically, let's say it's 2 weeks, and stuff like that. The whole thing of the thing is to get your offer accepted as a cash. And not many other sellers on the other side, are ready to go in 10 days either. So that's always a give and take. So there is a 1.5% earnest deposit money required, and we keep 1% of that. And the other 5% goes back to the buyer as a
Toward
credit.
the transaction.
Towards the transaction. You're going to pay an earnest deposit anyhow and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so are there any other details that you think are important for people to keep in mind?
Just that if you're going to do this and go down the road on it, and I encourage you to try, is have your paperwork ready. Key to all smooth transaction would always be in having, if we need this, get it ready and have it ready. It'd be kind of like if you're selling your house, Kristi's going to say, you got to do this, to have it show ready. If you're going to buy a house, we want you to be buy ready. And in other words, make sure we have everything. We got it. Income, credit scores, assets, where they're all coming from, have that all tied down, the paperwork work to it. If you're getting a gift, all that, and then there's really not much to have an issue with. Usually the appraisals have been coming in pretty much right over what sales prices are, so things are selling fast enough at a high enough price that it's catching up to them. So my number one thing is if you're going to do this, any transaction is get all the paperwork and get it ready and be done. Because if you dawdle with some of your paperwork, then the whole thing kind of bogs down, and then it gets kind of sideways sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, and I definitely would also say, depending at where you're at in the buying process, if you're just starting to look, that pre-approval and pre-qualification that we talked about earlier is something that you're going to want to get done in advance anyhow. So definitely, we're happy to help you with that and get connected and
Yes.
work through some of those things. So.
very important. But
Yeah.
just try and get the less houses, but more opportunity for you to buy.
Sure.
And get you in the door. So
Awesome. I'm excited for
we're
this
all
program.
happy when we close. We're all happy when we're close.
For sure.
Let the wine begin.
There you go. Get ready for the housewarming party, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today,
Thank you
Paul.
very much.
I appreciate it, and we're
Anytime.
looking forward to working with you. So take care.
I hope after all that information from Paul that you are encouraged that there are opportunities and there are options if you are looking to put in an offer on a home soon. Like Paul mentioned, you're going to want to get some things in line before you are able to put in an offer. So my contact information is down in the description. Reach out so I can walk you through getting that paperwork together. This way, the moment you see that perfect house, you are ready to pull the trigger. If you found this interview today helpful, insightful, and maybe even a little bit exciting, make sure you click the like and subscribe button down below, as it helps the channel grow and bring the information to other people who might need it. This interview is brought to you today by my Printable Moving Checklist. Paul did talk about escalation clauses, so if you're wondering what that's all about and want to learn a little bit more about what that might mean for you, you can check out this video. And don't forget, I'm here for your family. I'm Kristi Wampler with the Shawn team at Nebraska Realty.